you need to know two things. Number one, am I going to sacrifice time, right? I want to be able to use AI to free up more of my time. And the other thing is, if I'm going to use AI, I do not want to sacrifice quality. And if you can do those two things, AI is the best solution for your marketing.
Welcome back to the Massive Passive Cash Flow Podcast. I'm Gary Wilson, your host. I'm so glad to have you back listening to the show or watching if that's the case. We got a great guest today, Kyle Raniere. Did I pronounce it correctly, Kyle?
You nailed it.
Good. Yep, I'm getting good at this. It's been a few years. but in any case, so guys, Kyle and I have actually already met. And by the way, he's going to be teaching Monday Night Live on Monday, September 15th, 2025. So if you have a pulse and you care about your business, you should be on that class, man, because today's going to give you like, hey, what this is all about and how and why. But the big show is going to be on Monday at Monday Night Live class. You definitely want to be there. And it doesn't cost anything. So you come in as you are, take notes, ask questions. I mean, it's the greatest thing in the world. So in any case, Kyle, I just want to say thanks first off for being here, man. And I know you're busy. And I really appreciate it. I know this is a great opportunity for us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, no, I've been, I've known about you guys for a while, the Massive Passive Cash Flow Podcast. I think it's a great value. You guys have a wonderful audience, and I'm just excited for our conversation here today. And I'm really excited about Monday Night Live on September 15th. So whether you're listening now and that date has passed, we'll try to track as much information today as you can get. But Really excited to be diving deep next week too.
That sounds good. Well, hey, I have to ask you this because I have a degree in computer science from 500 years ago or something. But believe it or not, we actually this was back in the 80s, and I worked at NASA, and we actually had AI back then, but it was nothing like what we have today. It was very rudimentary. It was very manually intensive of the labor to use it to get it to work. But so I'm uncomfortable with it. Well, now here we are, 40 years later. And the capability, it's so much more. There's so much more functionality, and the AI now has more. It's more intuitive, and what we had before was zero intuitive. It's just straight. It was very rudimentary. But before you get into this, if you don't mind sharing, tell people what were you doing before this, and if there was some type of a tipping point, it's like, man, I need to get into this AI thing. So take us back down memory lane a little bit.
It's funny you say that you have some history at NASA. My previous career, I was a professional race car driver. I was a professional race car driver for Audi. I was a privateer driver for Hyundai. If you ever seen the movie Ford versus Ferrari, that's the kind of racing.
Oh yeah, I love that movie, man.
Yeah. Exactly. So we did 6, 12, 24-hour races across the world. So it's endurance sports car racing. Usually the follow-up question I get is, how do you drive a car for 24 hours and how do you go to the bathroom? So I'll answer everybody's question. You're not in the car for 24 hours straight. There's a team of drivers. So usually I would be like the number 2 or number 3 driver in the car. And, we switch off every several hours in a pit stop. And if the car holds together for 24 hours, we usually had a pretty good shot at winning it. But the reason I say it's funny that you used to work with the astronauts and everybody at NASA is I had a rule that I told everybody. I said, I'm always pretty confident that whatever room I walk into, I'm like the coolest guy there, humbly, like as humble as you can say that. I'm like the coolest guy there, yeah. Unless there's a fighter pilot or an astronaut.
That's exactly right, man.
Yeah.
We call them the cowboys of the sky.
So cool. I was at JF Kennedy Space Center for the Astronaut Hall of Fame dinner about 2 years ago and got to see Apollo 1, got to see all the cool modules, and what a cool place to be in, man.
I've been there a couple of times now. So I've been there. Houston and Huntsville is also where a lot of rocket development's done. So, and I was able to go on a couple of shuttles. I never went up in the air in one, but I got to know some of the guys, met some of the old Apollo guys. That was pretty awesome. I mean, those guys were real freaking pioneers. I mean, you talk about heroes. They were doing stuff for the first time. I mean, they're signing waivers like, well, we don't know if you're going to come back, but if you're okay with it, that's what it was like back then, So.
Oh, it's amazing. And I bet too, I remember, so Mark Kelly, who I think is he's a government official in Arizona. He might be the governor or senator or whatever. Yeah. It was his astronaut Hall of Fame induction. And Mark Kelly has a really cool record. He has the most days in space. And
Yeah.
when they were listing off Captain Mark Kelly's accomplishments, it was fighter pilot, test pilot. He was a skunk works guy,
Oh, yeah.
astronaut, captain, like just has a resume that would be 4 or 5 pages. It's like a scroll. You can't even put it on a one pager anymore. It's now like it's like a medieval scroll that you have to lay down on the ground to see all of his accomplishments. And those guys are just the coolest people in the world. And I'll ask you this too. First
Yeah.
time in my life meeting astronauts, first and only time I have, some of the nicest, most, this is ironic, down to earth guys you've ever met in your life, believe it or not.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
have to be. They're very, very well grounded, clear, connected, very present. And they generally have high IQs. They're also physically fit. You really have to. There's a lot to qualify. And actually, that's what I was going to do. I actually watched the first when step taken on the moon. Right, Neil
Wow.
Armstrong, when he said small step for mankind, one giant leap for mankind. Excuse me. And I remember coming into the house. It was just like at nighttime in the summertime. It was July 20th, 1969, actually. And we're outside playing hide and seek and catching fireflies and stuff because most of our dads were in Vietnam. And I go in to use the bathroom, and all our moms were huddled around this old console TV, locking arms. And like some of them were crying. I was like, Mom, what's wrong? Because we thought it was another bad scene from Vietnam because we saw
Yeah.
Vietnam was the first war we saw on TV every night. And she pointed to the TV right when Neil Armstrong was stepping down. And I thought, that's what I want to do. So I had an astronaut outfit when I was 6 years old, even older than yours. So, but I had unfortunately a tumor on my leg, and they found it in high school and had to remove it and cut a bunch of tendons, and so it ended my sporting career, obviously, and there was no chance I was going to go up in a space shuttle because you have to be perfect, everything. And I was like, you know what, that's cool. I'll still work for NASA, and I'm glad I did. It was an amazing experience.
Right. It seems like everybody that's in a career field like that, and even really any career field, it starts with, what you dream of when you're as a kid, whether that,
Yep.
devolves into what you want it to be or what it ends up being. I remember I used to go up to my neighbor's house and they had just bought a basketball hoop, and I wasn't interested in the basketball hoop. I was interested in the box the basketball hoop came in because it was a big enough box that I could turn into a race car. And
Yeah,
I would draw on it with crayons, and me and my brother used to push this race car cardboard box down the grass hill, and that was my first race car. And funny enough
yeah,
how things end up.
that's it, man. Yep. So now in the racing industry, race car industry, auto racing industry. Um, and I'm not sure how long ago it was you transitioned, but were they starting to use AI there? Because I'm thinking honestly, we're going to see massive quantum leaps in development, medically, technologically, in the next 2 to 5 years. I think it's going to blow people away. Quite frankly, that I think it's every industry, but I don't know. Maybe auto industry is different. With the auto racing business. Excuse me. Yeah.
One of the if you're an AI nerd or just a machine learning guy, back in the day it was called machine learning, and now with LLMs, it's a little bit of a different element. One of the coolest ways that I think that technology is being deployed in the auto industry is actually with a company that's called Singer. CZ, so it's Czechoslovakian,
Okay.
CZINGER. Singer makes a car. I think it's called the C1 or something like that. And if you look at the chassis of this car, it looks organic. And what they did is they
Mhm.
ran these CFD models to figure out the stress points of each individual pillar and ball joint and bolt, and
Mhm.
built in a 3D design, what would an A-frame look like? What would a chassis look like? What would a strut look like? So all of the parts on this car are 3D printed in titanium using AI. And the way they used AI was to figure out what is the best car that AI could build, knowing all of these outside factors. And I think with the advancements in 3D printing technology, in material science, and AI, you're going to start to see manufacturing change quite a
Mhm.
bit. I think you're going to see
Okay.
parts that look more organic, like they came from nature rather than, hard angles and things like we're used to seeing on automobiles.
Mhm.
So things like AI gets me really excited in the automotive industry and motorsports because they tend to be on the forefront of things. When we talk about real estate, which I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about today, AI or
Mhm.
real estate tends to get things last. for whatever reason,
Yeah.
all the cool stuff, NASA is at the forefront, early adopters, the forefront of technology. Motorsports is right there too. I mean, shoot, motorsports is the reason you have seatbelts. There's the reason your car stops the way it does. It's the reason why we have fuel cells so that not everybody's driving around in Ford Pintos that are blowing up every time you get in a rear end collision.
Yeah.
And all of those industries, our industries are used to getting that technology first. But what I think is really interesting now is we're in an industry, real estate, that tends to get things last. But I
Mhm.
see AI in real estate. You can't join a podcast, you can't watch an advertisement, you can't go to a seminar without hearing about AI. And that gets me really
Mhm.
excited because I haven't seen that happen in real estate ever. It tends to be 4 or 5 years, 10 years before we get something cool. Now it's
Mhm.
here, everyone's getting it, we're getting it at the same time. So, all the cool stuff that's happening in motorsports and in the automotive industry is also happening in real estate, which gets me very excited.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, what was the transition, or what was the inflection point that got you into AI as far as being in business and serving others? I mean, if you could just kind of, I'll let you unravel that one if you don't mind, Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great question. I get this question a lot. How do you go from being a professional race car driver to owning and operating a real estate software company and AI? And it's an interesting question to answer because I can't answer it in, 30 seconds, right? It's kind of a story
Okay.
that I have to tell, but I'll keep it as short as I can.
Mhm.
I do a lot of speaking engagements, and one of the speeches that I give talks about putting yourself in a position for good things to happen to you. When I was in my racing career, I was very aware that motorsports was an industry where you're going to attract the smartest, most wealthy, most talented people in the world because motorsports is that kind of industry, very similar to NASA. So I made it a point to try to talk to as many people as I could, try to
Mhm.
create relationships, network, something that we know is so valuable in real estate, so that I could meet the kind of people for when that motorsports journey ended, maybe there'd be more
Mhm.
opportunities. And that's exactly what led me and my business partner now into this space. So, my business partner is an extremely talented guy. His name is Mark Lafleur. He is a talented entrepreneur
Mhm.
from Canada. He's actually on Dragon's Den, which is Canada's version of Shark Tank in
Yeah.
Canada, owned and operated a company, sold it, very successful guy. And he got into motorsports after he had sold his company. Well, I did the inverse. I got into motorsports first. Now I own a company. So
Mhm.
he had a lot of perspectives that I didn't have. And I had perspectives on motorsports that he was just figuring out. So we became very, very good friends. I really, really looked up to him and admire him, still do to this day. We did a bunch of podcasts together. We became personal friends first and then
Mhm.
business partners second. And one of the things that I think is really valuable, Mark and I talk about this all the time, I talk about it in talks, is if you are the kind of person, whether you're going to start a brokerage or a team, or you're going to go out and start your own company and you're going to have a partner, I think mutual respect is something that's super, super important. Even though Mark and I, the guy that I met through racing that eventually took me down this road, have vastly different skill sets, we have a
Yeah.
very mutual respect for each other. And I think that's what's led to us having the relationship that we do and the success that we have. So
Yeah.
what happened is, as I was driving for Hyundai, I drove for Audi. Mark and I got together, we started talking, and this is right around when ChatGPT was first coming out. Now,
Mhm.
Mark had a lot of connections in Silicon Valley, the guys at Y Combinator, the tech bros, all those guys that are getting that technology right away, first and foremost. And I was always kind of a tech geek. I always liked the newest, latest, and greatest stuff. So we were both really excited about AI, and we wanted to figure out, okay, this is a technology that is unlike anything else we've ever seen. There's always these
Mhm.
new emerging technologies. We just got off of Web 3 and you know
Mhm.
um, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. That boom happened and everything, and that made a big difference. AI was just coming up as the new big thing. And we sat down and we said, how could we take this incredible new technology and give it to an underserved industry, an industry that's going to
Okay.
disproportionately benefit from it? And overwhelmingly, that was real estate. And it was wonderful that
Yeah.
Mark and I had the experience in real estate that we did, not necessarily from being in the industry ourselves. Neither of us were real estate agents, but by having either close family, friends, or relationships in the real estate industry, we knew enough about it to say, hey, this is a technology that's going to disproportionately benefit the real estate industry.
Yeah.
How can we package it, make it easy, and bring it to that space? Because we think it's going to change people's lives. And Gary, what we have seen is that's held true, not just with what we're doing, but all the other AI softwares out there that are making a huge difference in people's lives. That's what we did. That's what we set out to do. Racing took a back seat while we were planning on this. We've dived in head first. This is Mark's second company. This is my first company. We're growing and growing every year. We're serving thousands of agents across the US and Canada. And now that brings us to today. So that's how I went from being a race car driver to now we own an AI company in real estate.
Yeah. Well, I think you and I have a mutual friend. We pronounced it Loeffler, Mark Loeffler, but I always knew it was French because my mother's French. And if it's the same Mark, he owned a Keller Williams Market Center up there, 45 minutes west of Toronto. I used to live in London, Ontario, and Robert Hercevic was from the same area where Mark was from. Of course, everybody knows who Mark Hercevic is, and he was a huge race car driver. But tell Mark Gary Wilson said hello, man. So those are the Go Abundance days.
I will.
Yeah. If he ever mentions Go Abundance to you, it's an excellent organization. It's a men's group. There's a women's group too, but some reason the powers that be decided us high-wired men couldn't be with these high-wired women at the same time, and who knows why. But in any case, awesome dude. Yep, he's and I love it. I loved it up there. I mean, it's wonderful people. But so now back to AI. What would you say, and I know we have to try to keep this, we're short of, obviously, within a certain time frame, but also more importantly, at a level that people, we can't get too technical, but like I mentioned earlier, AI today is light years ahead of what it was when I first started back in the 80s. It's just not even close. And I know we're using it. So I'll tell you my story. We started out using it just like video production, things like that. Really simple things that save us time. So the AI can do more for us and then leave me more time with my agents on the team. But really, it's more powerful than that. So we started using it in our strategic planning. We started asking really good, detailed questions, like the how questions and the what questions, and giving lots of preliminary information, stuff like that. But kind of use that as a launching pad. And maybe talk about real estate, because we've got a lot of people on it invest in real estate here. And we've even got a lot of dentists, but they like to invest in real estate too. But they also have a business. And they need to know how to attract people.
Yeah.
So how do you see AI being used today that's we weren't even doing this stuff 5 years ago, Mm-hmm. Did you know that you can participate in class every Monday? We call it Monday Night Live, 7 p.m. Eastern, with me and dozens of other investor agents from around the country, in fact, the world. Every Monday, totally free. No selling, no recruiting, just straight up education on anything and everything in real estate. And we have a lot of good guests coming on once or twice a month, bringing in expertise on subjects like how to buy a house with crypto. Okay. How about them apples? What about AI? How's AI affecting our business? How about the metaverse? Blockchain processing. We're already using it in title work. So come on to Monday Night Live. Be ready to take notes and ask questions, because it's live and engaging, and you get to participate by asking questions and meeting others. So we'll see you there. Go to realestateWithGaryWilson.com. Click on the resource tab, drop down, and you'll see Monday Night Live. And in there, you can see one of the most recent classes. But more importantly, you can register for class, as many as you want, going up to the end of the year, I believe. So in any case, do that. We'll see you on Monday Night Live. Look forward to meeting you in person. Take care.
It's a great question, because AI has infinite use cases, and it has infinite use cases in any market that you might be in. In real estate, I always say, for example, this could read, write, and respond to your emails. It could leave a voicemail. It could call people and could mimic your voice. Our space is, it could even read, write, summarize contracts. You're streamlining your communication, and even things like vibe coding. You're seeing a lot of vibe coding now, and that's a bit of a technical term, but essentially using AI to do something as technical as coding a website is possible now in today's day and age. So there's infinite amount amounts of use cases from the marketing side to the close side to the cultivation part of our business. Every single
Mhm.
element that we have in that client life cycle, from getting their attention to cultivating that relationship to closing, AI fits some component of that job. We try
Yeah.
to stay specifically in our lane, which is the marketing lane. Now, we've looked through all the different avenues that agents have in traditional marketing, everything from mailers to your CRM, your email list, to referrals to your sphere. And what we found is, like I said before, we wanted to see how AI could disproportionately benefit. What can we
Yeah.
take AI, put it in a situation where it's going to be dramatically more effective than anything else? And we found that that was actually social media. So
Okay.
social media, a lot of people might be scratching their heads right now and saying, social media is probably the least favorite part of your business. I don't know a single agent that signs up and takes the test and becomes a real estate agent or an investor or
Mhm.
anything in the industry because you want to talk about it on your social media all day long. Usually it's because, you're really good at talking to people. You're really good at closing deals. You love those relationships. You love the commission check, right? All of those are valid
Mhm.
reasons, but social media is such a core component of a modern client life cycle. I'll give you an example. If I Google you, so take whether you're an investor, a wholesaler, a real estate agent, a team owner, a broker, okay? Google is going to be some element of a client's buying decision. Okay, whether they're going to
Okay.
hire you for a service, they're going to join your brokerage, they're going to buy your property, or they're going to hire you as an agent, right? Research is a core part of their decision making process. Whether that be
Mhm.
on Google or they ask ChatGPT, or sometimes they even go directly to social media. Now, I'll give you an example. Gary, let's say that you're a real estate. Let's say you're a real estate agent. You're in my area, right? And I look
Okay.
you up. I look up Gary Wilson, real estate agent. I'll just do an example, okay? More often than not, you're going to have these three results in the top of your Google page. You're probably going to have your agent website. You're going to have your Zillow profile, Realtor.com profile. You might have Realtor.ca if you're in Canada. Some kind of big public realtor profile that you'll have. But you're
Mhm.
always at the top of the search engine going to have your social media profile. So we
Okay.
have a situation where somebody who doesn't know you is faced with a decision to decide, okay, what is my first impression of Gary? Now, am I going to choose your agent website that I've never been to before? Am I going to click on realtor.com? And I've maybe clicked on realtor.com 5 times in my entire life. Or am I going to click on Facebook? And I'm on Facebook every single day. I'm very familiar with that
Yeah.
platform. So what we're seeing is social media becomes this bottleneck that is standing between someone hearing your name, and that could be a referral, that could be a paid marketing effort, that could be a mailer, it could be anything. Somebody hears your name, sees your face, understands that you are the person for the job. They are always going to research you, and more often than not, that research ends at one of your social media pages. And if you're
Yeah.
not doing the right thing on social media, you fail to get that lead. In other words, you are losing business that you never even knew you had. And that's a
Yep.
huge problem because the modern agent, the modern real estate professional, not only do they not know really what you need to do on social media because it changes every year,
Yeah.
but they don't need to know that. They genuinely don't, right? It's not their job. So the reason why I love AI specifically for this very unique purpose, doing social media for your marketing, is because it has an incredible benefit. I like to say a rising tide raises all ships. You might be
Yep.
really good at mailers, really good at organic marketing, really good at referrals, but your social media is that little bottleneck that's stopping all of them from calling you or emailing you or clicking on that listing on your website. And when you employ AI, and AI knows everything about social media and it can do it quickly. So you don't have to spend time editing and creating content or knowing what the algorithm is doing or knowing anything about trends. The reason I love AI for this very specific purpose is because it allows agents to say, I don't need to be a social media expert and I don't need to spend 5 hours a week on it to get the benefits. And that's why
Yeah.
I get so excited about AI specifically for something like social media.
Yeah. 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 No, it's pretty awesome. So, um, when you're Now, do you work with people in different industries, helping people um, learn AI or helping them implement AI in their um, some of their sort of job functions? Kind of give us
I
an
like to
example of the kind of person you maybe have helped before. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, we've worked with team owners, brokers. I like to say that, we are real estate specific, right? Investors, team owners, brokers, real estate agents, that's my wheelhouse. So I'll show you some examples right here because I love to brag on everybody that we've helped before. So
okay,
why don't you guys
cool.
take, yeah, why don't you guys take a look here? And I tell you what, I'm going to show you some profiles right here. Now
Mhm.
I have a couple profiles pulled up. And if you guys are watching this podcast live, you're watching on YouTube or anything like that, just guess, and you can even put a comment. I'm going to show you some profiles. Tell me which profile you think is AI and which profile you think isn't. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to pull this up right now. Let's take a look. Okay. This is a real estate agent. She's a real estate agent in Toronto. Okay. Now, if I scroll through, this is Instagram. We're using Instagram for this example. Now, if I scroll through her profile, this is very similar to what somebody is going to do if they Googled your name and found out who you are, right? Like they're going to give you a couple swipes right here. I'm not clicking on anything yet. I'm just getting a good idea of who you are. Now, my first impression of this profile, she's consistent, she's professional. All the content in here, it follows a theme. It has consistent colors, consistent branding. The takeaway I have without even clicking on something is that this person appears very professional. So we've already got to have a very good first impression. Let's jump into another profile.
Okay.
This is DeMarco and Marissa. DeMarco and Marissa, husband and wife team down there in California. Let's check
Mhm.
this one out. Here's DeMarco and Marissa. Same thing. Good colors, a lot more videos, local content. We're actually even naming local areas here, highlighting listings, open houses. Good stuff. Let's jump back into Basola's profile here and let's actually click on something.
Okay.
So here's one of her posts. Interest rates got you worried. Now this style of content is known as a carousel, also known as a slideshow, right? So if I swipe
Okay.
my finger right here, these are multiple images inside of one post, right? Just like this. Now I love carousel style images. One, because they perform very well on social media. Number two, she has now 7 pictures that she can use to educate her audience, and that's very important because when somebody walks away from this profile, I want them to feel like they have learned something from me, right? I want to be the predominant expert. Let's take a look at what that looks like on DeMarco's profile. So DeMarco's got a
Mhm.
good mixture of these pictures and videos. Let's take a look at what he's got right here. So here we have another carousel. This one's an open house. There we go. He's got some quotes. It's hyper local content, highlighting the listing, highlighting the area. Same thing. Your takeaway from DeMarco is he is a local expert. Your takeaway from Basola is she is an expert in real estate. Both very, very good, enough to get somebody to go through as a lead. I'll give you a hint
Okay.
here. Now, if you guys want to put a test right now, which one do you think is AI? We've got Basola and we've got DeMarco.
Let's see.
Both of these are using AI content. Both of
Well,
them.
that's really good. Yeah. I mean,
And
I know when I first started using my avatars, I was like, I could tell, but the thing is, they keep getting better. It's like they're learning to
yeah,
get better. Now they're better than me, the original person. I'm happy to say it too, but so I make mistakes. The
I
AI doesn't. Hmm.
even a profile like this where you look at all of her designs, like even this design style where you would be editing this in Canva or you'd be editing it in CapCut or Photoshop and you'd be spending 2 hours or 3 hours on a couple of posts. This is something that AI can go in here, can learn about you. It can create all of the pictures, all of the content, and even the caption. A lot of people, Gary, they don't even understand how much of a role a caption plays in your social
Hmm.
media. I'll give you an example. A lot of people I talk to say, hey, I don't get excited about social media because a lot of my followers, I can tell, are never going to be my clients, right? Maybe you get a lot of followers and they're way too young to ever be even a first-time home buyer, or maybe you can tell that you're getting followers that are all the way across the country or in a different country entirely, and you're saying, I'm not excited about social media as a component of my business because I can't control who follows me. I don't know if everybody that follows me is actually somebody who's interested in my business. The way that you mitigate that is through a caption. Social media's SEO, the way that it understands the algorithm, the way that it understands who your picture is for, is by reading your caption. So take a look here at Basola's caption. This caption was created by AI. And remember earlier, Gary, we were talking about how AI knows everything about social media, so you don't have to. So when you think about what it would take to write a caption like this on your own, you're going to have to understand things like keyword cadence, keyword density, caption optimization, length optimization, hashtags, trends, keywords, call to actions. All that stuff plays a huge role in who social media thinks your post is for. But because AI already knows you and it knows who your clients are, it can write a social media caption specific for Instagram that's going to help you attract the right buyer, seller, investor. And it can do that automatically. It can also do all the pictures. It can do all your logos. It can do all your headshots and your designs. And what that's going to do is, whether you're doing content like Basola or you're doing content like DeMarco and Marissa, is you're going to find out that you can't even tell the difference. You literally can't even tell the difference. The difference between DeMarco and Marissa that have a profile like this and another agent who's spending 16 hours a week doing this manually, the only difference is DeMarco and Marissa have 15 hours free that they got by using AI, because it took them 1 hour to do it instead of 16. This is an agent that has more time and is not sacrificing quality. And I think that is the biggest thing about AI for social media, is when you are doing it, you need to know two things. Number one, am I going to sacrifice time, right? I want to be able to use AI to free up more of my time. And the other thing is, if I'm going to use AI, I do not want to sacrifice quality. I want all of my content to represent me authentically, because that's how I want to be represented to my end consumer. And if you can do those two things, AI is the best solution for your marketing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's I'm living proof, guys. Everybody listening, we've been using it now for 2 years, and at first it was great. And even if we only did what we did the first year that we used it, I'd be happy. But the thing is, it's so much more capable. And my understanding is the AI today actually is able to program itself. It's actually generating code as it's working, which means it's a quantum leap in technology, where before we had the right to code to tell what the AI what to do. So this is unique. It doesn't mean, people are scared, and I get it. I understand. Whenever there's new technology, the road's a little bit bumpy. But the thing is, I see way, way, way more good than I see bad or evil. Um, so I think people should embrace it. Also, another thing, when the internet came out, remember all these agents were saying, "Well, there we go. They don't need us anymore. They got the internet." And I remember thinking, I don't think so. I think it's going to make your job easier. And that's what's happening so far with me. I'm living proof. AI hasn't taken my job. It's only made my job easier. It's allowing me to do 10 times what I was able to do before, because the AI does it. And I'm just calling the shots, and you still have to interact with other human beings. This does not replace that, everybody. So just keep that in mind. You're going to keep your job. You're going to still interact with other people. And the AI, think of the AI as a valuable resource, your own private, software company, whatever. You can ask any question you want of AI. It's just an amazing tool. Hey, I know we're kind of hit that magic half hour, Colin. We can certainly go a little bit longer, but I want to make sure people know how to get a hold of you. Where can they go for additional information? And another, we'll give a shameless plug for Money Not Live again before we're done. So,
Absolutely. So if you love the idea of social media being handled by AI, we actually built a program where you don't have to know anything about ChatGPT, you don't have to have a subscription to ChatGPT, and you certainly don't have to know anything about social media. And it's called RealEstateContent.ai. Now, Gary and I are going to be showing this a lot more in detail coming up on Monday Night Live. But if you guys are catching this replay, I want you to do one thing. I want you to shoot me an email. I want you to send me an email at Kyle Real Estate Content, CONTENT, content like social media content, period, AI. Real estate content, period, AI. And what I want you to do, I want you to make the subject line the Massive Passive Cash Flow Podcast. And that way I'll know that you're a friend of me and Gary. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a video. I'm going to send you a replay of what we're talking about. I'm going to show you the software that we've built, and I'll even send you a special discount code. So if you're interested in how AI can make a difference in your social media marketing, if you're a real estate professional, I'm happy to send you some more information on that. And I'm happy to take care of you.
Cool. And it's Kyle at RealEstateContent.ai, or did I miss any parts there? Or?
That's correct. Kyle at RealEstateContent.ai. Send me an email, make your subject line Massive Passive Cash Flow Podcast, and I will send you all the goodies.
Good. Well, everybody listening, first of all, please leave a review for this. There's more to come. I can promise you there's going to be a lot more to come. And make sure you attend class on Monday. We call it Monday Night Live every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Totally free, open to the public. It's particularly good if you're in business or you want to be in business, and you also feel like real estate. That's obviously a big plus. But we cater to a lot of people in the business world. We're entrepreneurs. We like to invest, and we like looking at new technology, not just to help us in our businesses, but we often invest as a result of this in things that wouldn't seemingly be directly related to real estate. So keep that in mind. I'll see you Monday. If you want to find out how to get on Monday Night Live, just Google Monday Night Live. Gary Wilson, Real Estate with Gary Wilson, Monday Night Live, or go to globalinvestoragent.com, and then there is a direct link to sign up for Monday Night Live. You have to register to attend, and then when you attend, you also get the recording. And we've got over 400 recordings now, going back over 10 years. So sorry to go long on the postscript there, guys, but appreciate you participating, listening, watching. We'll look forward to seeing your review. Kyle, thank you again, man. I look forward to seeing you on Monday Night Live, Monday, September 15th. Man, it's going to be a good time. So
sounds good. Can't wait to see everybody there.
You got it. All right, everyone, take care of yourselves. God bless you and your loved ones. We'll see you on the next Massive Passive Cash Flow Podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.